right, Cleverens, once you can hear my voice, how did it go? Yay? Nay? Okay. Yeah, ooh, pretty negative. Did we practice fetch over Thanksgiving? Right? Makes it tough. Let's go over it though, right? Today we're going to review fetch, which is why we're using the dog API. So what did we find difficult about this warm-up? Let's also just talk about that so we can really pinpoint what was tricky. Yeah, Shia?
For me, it was trying to separate the list of breeds and actually put it into like fetch that information versus fetch all of the breeds and kind of separate it so that I can put one inside of the input.
Okay, so it's the separation of two things. Yeah, I hear that. Same?
Yeah.
Anything else? Or is that just the idea of separating the two fetch calls? Right, because let's explore this API a little bit, right? So we're recreating this page, which is this is the API for a random picture of a specific breed, right? But when we click on this to change, we're getting this from a different API call, right? We can see it's got all of these different hounds and whatnot. What do we think that API call is? What is this API call? What are we looking at?
That's the breed.
That's the breeds list. So if we look at the breeds list, oops. Well, let's go to documentation. And we go check it, list all breeds. We get all of this stuff here. And we see that some things we have elements inside, like some subbreeds. Others we just have the outside breed there. So like there's a general hound, and then there's Afghan hound, Basset hound, bloodhound. And when we go back to the, we'll just do by subbreed, a browse breed list. This is the one, sorry. We see like when we look at hounds, it adds hound to the end, right? So there's like some detail there. So this is like some data manipulation because we're not going to get this beautiful list of all the subbreeds, but instead we need all of the breeds if they're there, or the subbreeds if they're there. Does this have regular breeds too? So like we see African is in here, but when we go to breed, when we go to the list of all breed, African is also in here, but it's empty. So if it doesn't have a subbreed, then that is the subbreed, I guess, essentially. If it does have a subbreed, then it has a subbreed, yeah? All right, well, let's code it out. Okay, so first thing we need is an HTML. This is like from the before, so I'm just going to create a new one in the same file. It's still called fetch intro. So let's go ahead and create a new file. I'm going to call this fetch.html. Right, standard is index, but I already have that right now. And I'm also going to create a fetch.index, a fetch.js. And let's just go ahead and fill these out. So first the HTML. Let's go ahead and make, oh, is it not? Do I not have anything to help me? Oh, I do. Excellent. Makes it a lot faster, right? And at the top we have some kind of H1 that we say list of breeds. We know we're going to need a select. I'll just give this an ID called breed list. I'm not going to name it. And let's go ahead and look at what this HTML looks like. So we'll say copy path, go here, new tab, paste it in, and Server responded with a 404. That's kind of, it's kind of weird. I didn't do it yet. Did I do something wrong? Copy path. Oh, I think I was doing the index. There we go. Okay. So we've got this empty select bar because there's nothing in it, and all is good, yeah? Okay. Let's go ahead and link up our JavaScript. I'll give this a nice title called breeds. Dog API. How do I link up our JavaScript file? Nice. What's the source? Good. All right, so first thing we got to do is what? Test it. Make sure that we're actually connected, right? So I'm just going to console log just hello, whatever. We'll refresh, and we got our hello, so all's good. So we want to go ahead and grab this select and populate it, right? That's the goal. Populate it with option tags. So what do I need to wait for that before I can grab that select? An event? Yeah, which event? Sort of. How am I going to grab that select, though? Yeah, right? I have to wait for the whole document to load. So what's that event called? DOM countdown loaded, right? Sing it. Sing it from the rooftops. Sing it in the shower. Add event listener, we will say DOM content loaded. This takes in a callback function, right? An event and a callback function. Let's make sure that we're still hooked up. I'm going to say bang bang. We'll refresh. Bang bang. Bang. So it's working. Okay. So what's the very first step we want to do? Make a function? Okay, tell me more. What's that function going to do? What's the function do? Sorry.
That is gonna call the way how we fetch and then
Okay, yeah. Not sure I totally am hearing you perfectly, but what I think you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying we need a function that like takes in a URL and a callback or something, and then it's going to go make a fetch call for that, and then call the next function with that data that we get back. Is that what you're going to say? Okay. Sounds great. That sounds absolutely perfect. So let's go ahead and create a function. We'll call it like fetch data. And this is going to take in a URL. And for now, I'll just leave that, let's say. And I'm going to go fetch something. So what do I need to do to fetch? Got to call fetch, right? It's built in. We're going to say fetch this URL, whatever that's going to be. I'll pass it in as an argument. And then what? Yeah, why? And why do I use .then? Yeah, but why am I using the .then? Karen? What? Yeah, well, what's fetch return? Fetch returns a promise. Promises are asynchronous or synchronous? Asynchronous. All right, real quick, what are the three states of a promise? Pending? Fulfilled? Rejected? Nice. What's it called when it's fulfilled or rejected? Settled. Nice. Dwakabasi. Slips it in. It's like settled. That was done very cool. Okay. Right. So then something that allows us to chain promises. So fetch is going to give us back some kind of response object. And so I'm going to say dot then. If I could spell. Then we're going to get some sort of response. And I'm going to put a debugger in just so I know, so I can actually see what's going on. My first call is going to be to what API? Yeah, I got to get all these breeds, right? So it's going to be this URL. So I'm going to go ahead and just call the function fetch data, pass in that, and we'll see what happens. All right? Okay, we're going to refresh. We hit our debugger. Let's take a look at what our res is. It's some kind of response object. Do I want to do anything with this? Am I going to use this response object for anything? No. Right? What do I want back?
The list, but if you want, like, you don't want all of them at the same time. You want to be able to get the selected value of it.
Well, I want all of them because this has all of them. That the paid for replicating. Browse by breed list. Right? I want the name, but in order to get the name out, I do need all of the lists. Right? I need that list of everything. But what's that called? What's all that data called? Not quite. JavaScript object notation. Nice, right? I'm looking for the JSON. I've got this response object. I don't want that yet. I want the JSON back. So how do I get the JSON? Who remembers? Return what? Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to return my res.json. Do I need anything else? What's it called? Invoke it. Right? We got to invoke it. And then what's this going to return? Is it? A promise. Marissa's going to return a promise. Is that right or wrong? Yeah, that's right. She's right. So if it's going to return a promise, what does that mean we can do? We can add another then. Then we got a new response. Let's see what that response looks like. I'm going to save that. Go back over here. Refresh. Let's take a look at this response. So I'll say res. Okay, so we get back this JSON object. It has two keys. It has message and status. Status is success. Message is this. And message points to an object as its value. And that has keys that point to arrays, looks like. Okay, so we kind of have to massage this data a bit, right? It's not the most attractive data to try to get this list. That's why I gave this problem, right? A lot of what you'll do is manipulating data. Strings, arrays, objects. That's like especially the types of questions you'd be asked in interviewing. It's like string and array, data manipulation stuff. Okay. By the way, I should probably do some kind of check in here, right? To throw an error. What's that look? If res.okay. If it's not okay, if res.not okay, what should we do? Throw an error. Anything should go in here? All right. Sounds good to me. And what's that mean I should add at the very bottom of this? Right, I should always have a catch. Good. What's this catch going to do? I don't know. So now I'll just have it log the error to the console. In real life, you might want it to redirect you or do something else, right? But for now, just log it. Okay, so we have this res. So we have this response. And so I could do something with this response now, right? I want to, what's this? Right, I want to loop through it and do all this stuff with it, right? If I do that right here, will I be able to ever reuse this function? No, right? Because I'm only going to build out the select bar one time, right? Will I ever need to fetch something again? So would it make more sense for me to write this as a reusable function? Yeah. So what about if instead of just taking in a URL, it also took in a callback? And in here, I would just call the callback and pass in the response. Right now I can reuse this piece of code later on. So let's go ahead and create a function called populate select bar. Right? So we'll say const, and we'll say populate select. And this is a function that will take in it's going to take in a response object, right? Or, well, it's going to take in some JSON. So I'm just going to call this data, for lack of a better word. And I'm going to throw in a debugger inside of our populate select. And where I call fetch data, I'm going to pass in the URL as well as the populate select function. Right? So how is this going to work? It's going to fire this fetch data function with a function being passed in as the callback and the URL, that's going to be our API call. It's going to go fetch that URL. It's going to get a response. If it's okay, it's going to return that response as JSON. And then when that comes back, it's going to check, it's going to have the JSON, and it's going to pass it into the callback, and then we're going to be right here. Okay? So in theory, everything should work. Refresh, we hit it, and we did hit a debugger, and we have this data. So we could play inside of it, and we could say data.message is this. We have this object that we could loop through. How could I loop through the object? For each, is that what you said? I wish. For each is an array method. So I can't do that. What's that? For in? Yeah, right. I could use a for in loop. Use for in loops to iterate through objects.
You do it for each?
No, I can't. That is an array method. I could turn this all into an array, right? How would I do that if I wanted just the keys? Right, that's object.keys, and then you pass in the object. We gotta be quicker on those. I know it's our first day back, but it shouldn't be. We should keep coding really every day. It's like super important. There's one thing you can do is code every day. You will definitely get better. So instead of going backwards, we keep going forwards. Okay, so we've got our data. So let's go ahead and do a for in loop. I'm thinking about turning this into an array to deal with, to make it easier at the end. So I'm going to have an output. That's going to look like that. And let's go ahead and do a for let key in data dot message, right? Because we only want to iterate through the one that's the message. So we should have a dog in here. So let's console log our key right now. And refresh and just make sure that we're getting prints of keys. We are. Okay, we're getting a lot, but we are getting like this hound. We're not getting any of the subreads, right? So how are we going to do that? Okay. Well, what do we need to, when do we want to add something to the subread? Like, when do we know we have a subread versus not a subread? Doug? Yeah, so if the key's value, right, if is less than select. Okay, so I'm also, just for brevity, I'm going to add another variable called dogs, and I'm going to assign that equal to data.message, so I don't have to keep keying too deep. So then this will be dogs. Okay, so if dogs at key dot length, so this means it has a subread, right? If it's got the subread, what do we want to do? Yeah, so we're going to have this means there's an array of subreads. Isaiah? Yeah, we want to loop through that, right? So if that's the case, we can say dogs at key dot for each, and this is for each dog. And we want to put the name of the dog afterwards, right? Because I think it says on the page that we're trying to create, I think it says like bloodhound, English bulldog, right? Bulldog there is the breed. English is the subbreed. So we'll say output.push, output.push, and we'll say dogs. Well, I can interpolate this, right? So it's going to come in as a string, so we'll say dog and this is the key. I'm not worrying about capitalization. I can figure that out later. I could style it that way too. Yeah.
Where did dogs singular come from?
From the for each. This is like the L, for the representing the element. This is representing the element in the array, which I know is a dog. So I'm doing this all in the lowercase, okay? If you're really worried about capitalization, I can do it, but it's not really the point. Okay, so we have if dogs key that length. Otherwise, I just want to do output dot push, and I'm just going to push in the key. At the end of this, let's go ahead and throw in a debugger and make sure that our output looks how we want it to look. Okay. Go here. We'll refresh. Go to our console, type in output. This looks pretty good. English Bulldog, French Bulldog. We still have African, Airedale. So things look pretty good, right? This is our list. Whew, thank you. As long as my nose doesn't start bleeding. Yeah. Isaiah, question or stretch? Okay. Okay, so now we can actually go ahead and populate this, right? So what's the first thing I need to grab or do? I gotta grab the select bar, right? So I'm gonna say let's select equal, how do I grab it? Document that. Query selector. I'm just gonna say select because it's the only one for now. I've got the select. What do I need to do? What's left to do? Make the options. Yeah, right. Trying to think if I need to be fancy here. Yeah. Okay. So we will just loop through my output. So we can say output dot for each, and we'll say dog breed. What do we want to do? Create an option. Okay. So let option document dot create element. We'll say option, and we can assign the inner text to our dog breed. And then we have to append that to our select bar. So we'll say select dot append job, nice, option. All right, let's see if this works. Go back, refresh our page, and it works. Just took a minute. We've got some massive list. Cool. We're like almost there, yeah? I mean, without worrying about styling and all that. Which I don't think we're going to go into that. Okay. So, what do we need to listen for now? We need to listen for a change, right? We don't want to listen to the click on this because that doesn't necessarily mean we should fire anything. I don't know why it's going so slow right now. I think just because the list is huge. We just care about when the change occurs, or when they click on this other button if we had it. I'm not going to put it there for now. Not important. Bless you. Okay. So let's go ahead and add an event listener to our select bar. All right, so let's go grab our select. So we'll grab it again. Document that. Query selector select. And how do I add an event to it? Yeah, select dot add event listener. And we're going to listen for a change. When the change occurs, we're going to fire some event. And I'm going to say that we care about this. E. What?
I mean, it's limited, you want to print it or whatever, so I mean, you want to just, not necessarily anything other than that, just keeping that element and going with that.
Yeah, we gotta see what it is though, right? To know what they clicked on. I think. Well, we'll see. All right, and let's put a debugger in here so we can play around. We should also check to make sure that this works. Like what happens when you can click on the whole thing. Yeah, I'm not sure what that API call is because it probably shouldn't actually have those spaces in it. But we'll figure it out. Okay. So the debugger, so we click on this. Let's change it to something. Maybe we didn't refresh this page. Yeah.
The API reads it as a hyphen between breed, the subbreed, and the breed.
Okay.
And it's the subbreed last and the breed first. And it reads it from the value of the option. I was looking at how they
Okay.
do it. So it's
We'll get it. Sounds like it's gonna be wild.
It's weird. Showing like compared to how they show it.
Okay, so we'll start with one that's not as complicated. E. So we've got our E. Let's take a look at it. So we'll say like E dot target. Let's see like okay, yeah. Dot inner text. That's all of them. So maybe I can say dot selected. Does that work? No. What do we need to look at? E dot target dot. We really want to see where what the option was, right?
You could do current target dot value.
Current target dot value. E dot current target dot value. Okay, great. All right, so there's an exploration part, right? Thank you for having already explored that for me. Makes it a lot easier. Okay, so E dot current target dot value. So that's some kind of string. So let's go fire our URL from that. So we'll go say we can call fetch data with our E. Well, I'm gonna extrapolate it because I think we're gonna have to change it up. Let URL, and I'll say E dot current target dot value, and we'll pass in our URL, and we need to pass in a callback, something we haven't created yet. What does it make sense to call it? Maybe show image, right? And we should write the show image function. I'll say const show image. This is going to take in this is also going to take in a URL, because that's hopefully what we're going to, or I'll just say data and we'll figure out exactly what we're getting. Put debugger in here, and let's go ahead and try this so we can see what we've got when we hit show image. Go here. We'll refresh. I'm not going to worry that there's already one selected, but you might want to make it more user-friendly so it automatically at first selects the first thing that you know is going to be there. Okay, failed to fetch. So it did not like that. Well, that's okay, because it wasn't really the whole URL, right? We only passed in the word. We need this whole URL. So let's copy that. And it's going to look like this. So I'll say, I'm going to make this equal to the URL. This equal to the target. This can be a string plus our target plus images and random. This will be another string. So now we have a lot more of the URL. Hopefully this will actually work. Does that make sense how we did that? Right before we were just passing in the name of the breed that we wanted. That's not really going to work. It needs to be the whole API endpoint. So we're just putting in that target that we've chosen. It's for string concatenation. Okay, so we'll refresh. And we'll select something. Didn't like that. URL scheme must be HTTP or HTTPS for a CORS request. So that is because I'm missing all of this stuff. So I'll copy that. So our URL was still wrong. Because it had broken the line and commented it out. So we misread it before. Okay? Take 3, right? There's a lot of debugging when you're writing code. But what's most important is that you keep trying it every time you make a change, right? Because if I didn't run my code yet, we might be here for 50 minutes trying to debug after bug after bug, instead of just debugging one thing at a time. Keeps it kind of simple. All right, so we get this data back. So let's take a look. We say data, dot message, and that's our URL. All right, that's just what's going to be in our image tag. Great. So let's go ahead and create an image. So say document, create element, image. We want that source of that image. Oops. Let's make this let image. Image dot. We'll do src, and we want this to equal what? What does this need to? What value should be assigned to our image.src? Data.message, right? Thank you. Data.message. Okay, and then let's go ahead and just append this to the body. So I'll say document.body dot append child image, and let's see what happens. Go back, we'll refresh. And we get this dot. It moves things, but that's that's styling stuff. If I do it again, we get a second dot, right? We keep appending, we're not removing. So what should I do instead? What can I add? Yeah, I can remove the child if one exists, right? So I'll just do some kind of hacky, right? But I could say let instead of doing image here, I can say let image equal document dot query selector, and I can grab our image, and then if there is an image, we can just go ahead and remove it. So I'll say image dot parent node dot remove child image. Okay. So that way we're going to go up the ladder and back down. And let's make sure that that's working. Refresh. This part's taking longer than I want. Okay, we got a dog there. And we got a different dog, so it seems to be working. Pretty cool. It's pretty similar to the real thing. Not if I do English Bulldog, though, right? Does not like that. Why don't we think it likes that?
The link with the issue, the URL, the link.
Yeah, right? Because this is not the correct GET request. It's not English %20 Bulldog. Isaiah, what is it actually? You already looked at the documentation.
I I was reading it and it said that they replaced the hyphen with a slash, so I think it's just I don't know, like it's hard to understand really for me at least.
Okay, no problem.
It gets the dog breed and then it uses a dot replace method.
Well, okay,
I
hang on.
don't know what's happening in there.
So this would be dog. Let's see if it was bulldog. If we just did bulldog, would we get something?
Yeah, missing backslash.
Yeah, I've got that extra 0. I'm missing a backslash. It's too hard to see. I can't get any bigger on that thing. Okay, let's see. Okay, so breed works. And let's see, you're saying it's a slash?
Yeah, so it's the main breed slash subbreed.
Bulldog, yes. And then slash subbreed or no? So again, one more slash, right?
Yeah.
So English, like that. Yeah, that works, right? So we have to just split it and change it up a little bit. So no problem. So how do we do that? Or where? Who can tell me where we're going to do that? Doug. Which if statement? Oh. Up here, maybe? Yeah. Possibly, but I don't think we're going to need that because we still want it to look that way. Where else could we do it? Come on, you got an idea?
How about in line 51? Like, you,
Right here?
yeah.
Yeah, I think we could do it right here. So let's say we do something like array is equal to target dot split like that. And then I also want to join it. Oh, I should reverse this, right? Dot join. With a slash. Let's just reassign target and see if that works. So we'll put a debugger in here just to see that it looks the right way, no matter what we select. Okay. So we'll refresh. First, we should test, if we've made a little change, that it would still work for individual dogs. Our target is still Airedale. Let's just check. Airedale, nice. Okay, so we'll continue. And then let's go ahead and try one of these doubles, like an English Bulldog. And we can see that our target is Bulldog slash English. So that seems like that's going to work. And it is. It's some massive. Yeah, it looks like the right dog to me. Okay, so that is essentially how that page could be made, right? They're also styling it, of course. I'm not going to worry about styling. I just wanted us to go over fetch and think about how we can approach it through smaller, compact functions, yeah? Any questions on this? Yeah, Doug.
So like when you fetch data, right, and you put it into an array, when is it the time to put it into an array and to put it, because like with array, I feel like there's like a bad notion that it uses up a bunch of data.
Memory?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, adding an extra array does add memory. For this problem, I wasn't particularly concerned about the memory, just because I know there's not like tens of thousands of breeds. But you're totally right. I could have done this inside of here and just iterated through instead of adding an output array. When to do it? It's just kind of like best judgment. Just make sure it's readable. If you end up needing the memory, then you'll always go back, right? Great question. Any other questions? Okay, cool. So today we're going to be dealing with like decks of cards, which is pretty cool.